What else?
Dirty water.
Dirty water. What ways do you think of water getting polluted?
Trash,
Trash,
plastic,
plastic,
Chemicals.
chemicals, oil. Okay, my next question is, how many in here hunt? We got a lot of
Sometimes.
hunters who likes to count. We got a lot of people that enjoy outdoor activities. Do you think about what else you do when you go do these activities? Even when you're camping or when you're hunting or you got older people with you, we throw things down that we don't even think about. We throw down scraps of chemicals, we throw down scraps of food, we throw down just little pieces of plastic that we don't bother to pick up. Do those stay where we leave them?
No.
No. I mean, you think even cigarette butts, those type of things that get left when I'm in a hunting club. I know I go in shooting houses on my hunting club that we have people that will hunt out of those houses and there'll be stuff left in there. It doesn't stay in there. It ends up out. Well, then it blows here and there. Eventually it ends up in the water one way or the other because it either ends up in the animals, we toting it somewhere, and one way or the other, it ends up everywhere else. Have you ever heard of the Leave No Trace program? Anybody heard of that? It started with our state parks. And Leave No Trace is basically trying to remind people that whatever you take in, you take out. Now that pertains to hunting, camping, everything, not just our state parks. Our private property that we hunt and do everything on. If you take something with you when you're walking through the woods and you drop it, it's just a little piece of paper, when will it go away? Who wants to eat a deer that has been drinking the water that the cigarette butts left in the shooting house have floated down and they've eaten? Is that what you want to eat? You think about the chemicals that end up in the water. Now, when we talk about the chemicals that end up in the water, you think about pollution from factories. You think about pollution from sewage plants. Do you think about the pollution from the extra fertilizer you put on your garden? That stuff washes out of the garden that's not used into your water. How many people still have well water? Do you change your oil at home?
Yeah.
Yeah? What do you do with the oil when after you change it? Were you one of the ones that said you have well water? Uh-huh. So when you dump it on the ground, it goes into the soil, which then goes into where?
Your water.
Your water. So you're drinking the oil you just changed out of your car. Never thought of that, did you? When we pour all these chemicals on our gardens, on our yards, we want these nice green yards, so we put our fertilizers on there. We put our pest control, we put our herbicides, all on these things. Now what do we have? Chemicals in our water. We worry about what we eat and what we drink to a point, but then there's a lot of things we forget to look at. We've got to stop and think down the road where everything's going. I raise bees. I had to really stop and think when I started raising bees about what I was doing, because I found myself at Lowe's this weekend. We have ant beds around our bee hives. Well, for those of you that haven't heard, do you see as many honeybees as you used to see? You used to see bees everywhere. You don't see them anymore because we spray so many chemicals that the water they drink and everything they carry back to the hive, and it's killing whole colonies of bees. So now that we're realizing what's causing it, you have to sit there and read everything you do. Everything I put in my yard, I have to read. Because one bee can take it back to the colony and the whole colony dies. We're doing the same thing to ourselves. You're putting oil in our water. We're putting trash in our water that we're not even thinking about from a day-to-day basis.
Like, you know, you were talking about the, what is the one urinate outside? Like, that's nasty.
That is nasty. But now one thing that is human waste, which will filter through the soil to a point. It's not chemicals.
It's probably safer
Yes.
for you to drink that than it would be for the water that the oil's coming through.
It would be safer for you to drink it straight than for the water the oil comes through.
You don't think about it being that way, but it is true. Those things, even though it would be nasty,
You have to stop. What you're thinking about is some of those things your body has already filtered. It's gross, but your body has filtered it. But when it comes to the oils and things like that that we put in the soil, the soil's going to filter some of it out. But the soil can only handle so much. It's just like if you've ever had an aquarium where you have a filter, it can filter so much stuff out of that water, but eventually that has to be clean too to be able to hold more stuff. It can only filter so much. We have to be really careful what we take in, what we do with what we have to be able to keep our water supplies and our food supplies healthy. We can't be thinking about, okay, my deer came straight out of the woods. It's healthier than most store-bought meat. Probably. Because that deer didn't get fed antibiotics and those type of things that store-bought meat a lot of times is fed. But you also got to look is, in the environment that deer lived in, did I do what I had to do to take care and keep it clean? We are lucky here. Wedowee is one of the healthiest lakes and the cleanest water compared to most of the areas around here. You can actually pull up online, and if you looked for it, you would probably be shocked because there is a monthly publication that shows where they've done water tests and what fish you can eat from each of the lakes in the state. You would be shocked that the majority of lakes in our state do have fish that will say either do not eat or only eat 1 or 2 a month because the amount of chemicals in that fish. Now, when I fish, I don't fish for one fish. I don't typically want to eat one fish. I'm not going to eat one fish a month. When we think of fishing, we think we have a big fish fry, we're eating 2 or 3 fish at a time. We're not thinking about the fact that these chemicals that are building up in our fish from the chain reaction that we start, then we put it back in our body. And mercury is one of the highest ones that ends up in a lot of the fish in our areas. But Logan Martin, that's not that far from us. A lot of people go over there fishing. That water, different sections of that water on a regular basis have warnings of not eating fish at all. There are certain fish and certain times that if you look at the monthly publication, it will say, do not eat. There is no safe level of fish. That's scary. When you look out there, you see nice clean water and you think it's safe. Why do you say no?
Because my uncle used to work, my uncle worked on that lake. He's a Marine too.
So he knows,
He's
he's seen, yeah. He sees a lot of what gets thrown in there and what gets. So, I want you to give me some ideas. What are things you can do to help prevent the pollution of our waters and what we eat? Anybody got any ideas? What are some things you could do?
Like, stop throwing out trash whenever you're camping and all of that.
Yeah?
Or even if you don't throw it out, but you see some, take the time to bend over and pick it up.
Trash out the window.
Stop throwing trash out the window. I ran into that one the other day. My grandson asked me, "Can I throw this out the window?" I said, "No, we don't do that." And he said, "Well, my daddy and Mama Rachel don't either, but I just wanted to see if I could with you." Really? That's a 6-year-old for you. He just wanted to see what I'd say. Any other ideas?
Pass it around, like tell people what it does to our water.
Right. Share it. You can pick up. There are Leave No Trace classes you can take. You can become certified to teach the Leave No Trace programs, and you can go out to different camps over the summer and teach smaller kids about Leave No Trace and what it does. There are Leave No Trace programs for your hunting clubs. Those of you that are in hunting clubs, there's cards that you can place in your shooting houses to remind people of Leave No Trace. And it gives you a list of things to remind them of what they're doing. Who leaves their ammo on the ground? After your spent shells, your spent cartridges, do you stop and pick them up?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
Very few people do. I'll see that quite often. Well, that's something nice and shiny that a lot of birds will go and pick up
So,
and get choked. Or it gets bound up in their system and they end up dying. It's shiny, it looks pretty, it looks like something you'd want to play with. We don't think about those things that you would want to do. There's lots of things we can get involved with. There's lots of activities. Even participating in things for environmental awareness in our community. There's things that go on a lot that we are not aware of, that if we don't look for. But if there's not, start something. Get involved. Show people that you care. We don't want toxic food down the line. We don't want toxic water. We want to keep Lake Wedowee one of the cleanest lakes in the state. We should be proud of that. We need to work on that. You can cut that off, Chris.